Hello, everyone. Welcome to Days Tech Tuesday, where today we're looking at integrating technology into correctional programs. My name is Hunter Sayers. I am an ABE, GED, ESOL, IET instructor for our Naples Jail Center. And so welcome. Today we have the option of using our chat box for any of our questions, and I will be addressing those at the end of the presentation. So a little bit about what we're going to look at today. This webinar is going to explore the latest data on technology in the workplace with a focus on its impact and potential benefits in a correctional education program. So you as participants will gain a comprehensive understanding of how technology can be safely and effectively integrated into correctional settings to enhance learning outcomes and contribute to reducing recidivism rates. So we're going to take a look at innovative strategies for utilizing technology to manage and facilitate. Sometimes it's always those multi-level classroom environments that we're dealing with. Attendees will learn how to leverage digital tools to meet those diverse educational needs of inmates and foster more engaging and productive learning experience for all. So a couple of our objectives for today's session. We'll be sharing the benefits of integrating technology for our instructors and our students, demonstrating how we prepare students for further education and the workforce upon release. We're going to reflect on our own paradigms. We'll discuss how many jobs require those digital skills and showcase how laptops can be used to build student portfolios and demonstrate learning. We're going to learn about some of their offline programs for independent student studies. And we'll learn about restricted internet programs for ESOL, GED, IET, and career preparation. So a little bit about why technology, why it's important. We all know how frustrating it is not knowing how to do something or operate something, especially when it seems so commonplace. And our students, they will express their need to learn how to operate a computer so that they can prepare for the workplace. For instance, like creating a resume, doing job research, applying and interviewing for a job. Um, this technology, it also enables to do everyday life tasks, such as banking, shopping, email, etc. We also use technology to assess our student needs. We group students based on those needs, and some of our programs report that growth to the state. Technology can also be very useful in creating an engaged multi-level classroom. So the key to engagement among students working at various levels is technology. Technology engages students in independent studies, so the teacher can give direct instruction to other students. Students can also be given assessments or tasks to prove their learning. The technology can be used to facilitate those independent studies, freeing up instructors to work with other students or giving further explanations to concepts that students are encountering on those learning management systems. We're going to take a look at some of those learning management systems here in a little bit. So for me, my classes are 2.5 hours long with 2 classes per day. And so just to give you an idea of how I use technology to engage a multi-level classroom, my morning consists of a whole class instruction where we're doing a warm-up, and then we break off where I, as a teacher, would lead our ESOL students in direct instruction, where our ABE and GED students are going to engage in that independent study using technology. We then come back together to form that whole class instruction for math. In the afternoon, we again start off with like a whole class warm up. So we're building that culture within our class. And then the teacher would break off and direct instruction with our ABE and GED students in reading, while our ESOL students engage in independent studies using technology. We then bring back together the whole group for math instruction because math is one of those worldwide languages. Everybody can speak math. Students, to make this happen, students, they must take ownership of their learning. But students are typically motivated by the option they have to choose what work they engage in. And so technology also allows our lessons to be aligned with learning goals of the program and to increase the rigor of lessons and demonstrating knowledge. So it can be used to allow those students to be creative and further process and present their learning. Our independent studies also allow students to interact with content in a different way or see content that maybe the teacher did not cover or missed. According to our latest research that I've found, recidivism rate is 25% within 3 years. And so this is important because if students don't adapt to our world, to that technology, they're going to resort to doing what they know to do, what they've always done. All right, so we're going to take a look at one of our 7 habits.
In Ohio, a 10-year-old girl was raped and became pregnant, but a state abortion ban prevented her.
See how we're viewing our world.
As you can see, our team's doing fantastic. We should have that all wrapped up by the end. Appreciate that.
So much of what we do in our personal lives and at the office is the result of the paradigms we hold. And what we do, in turn, affects the results we get.
Thanks for coming to the meeting today, everyone.
The word paradigm comes from the Greek root paradigma, meaning pattern, the pattern we expect to see, or the mental image of the way things are. We see everything through the perspective of our own paradigm. If you see your industry as one where growth is impossible, how does that affect what you do every day? And what results do you think you'll get from your actions? On the other hand, suppose you saw unlimited prospects for growth in your industry. How would that change your actions? What we see, our paradigms, determine what we do, which in turn determines what we get. And unless we consciously stand apart from and examine our paradigms, we might never see that perhaps many of them are distorted, short-sighted, or just flat out wrong. I remember a mini paradigm shift I experienced one Sunday morning on a subway in New York City. People were sitting very quietly, some reading, some resting with their eyes closed. Suddenly, a man and his children entered the subway car. The children ran yelling through the car, throwing things, grabbing people's newspapers. Their father sat down near me and closed his eyes and did nothing. I felt irritated. I could not believe he would let his children run wild like that. After a few minutes of patience and restraint, I turned to him and said, "Sir, your children are really disturbing a lot of people. I wonder if you could control them just a little more."
Yeah, you're right. I should do something. But we just came from the hospital where their mother died about an hour ago, and I guess they don't know how to handle it. I guess I don't know how to handle it.
Can you imagine how I felt at that moment? My paradigm shifted. Suddenly I saw things differently. And because I saw differently, I thought differently. I felt differently. I acted differently. My irritation vanished. Compassion flowed freely. I wanted to help instead of criticizing and complaining. Once you see things as they really are, you'll think, feel, and act differently. And you'll do it automatically, spontaneously. Can you see why paradigms are deeper than attitudes and behavior? If you want to make minor changes in your life, work on your behavior. But if you want to make significant quantum breakthroughs, work on your paradigms.
All right, and so I share that video because in our correctional facilities, many of the times we're addressing and changing those paradigms of how we see things. I know in my specific situation in our county jail, we had to change our paradigms quite a few times with when we had issues with technology or we were wanting to integrate new technology to benefit our students. And so I bring up this see, do, get model again because we ask our program leaders and our students to define the results they want to achieve. And if we define the results we want to achieve from our program, we analyze our own perceptions of those challenges, then we can implement practices and find those practices that move us towards those outcomes that we want to achieve. And so anytime we ask students what they want in life, they typically say things like they want better relationships with their family, they want money, they want employment. And of course, they say things like they want to be free and to be released. And so we look at what students need. We're living in a time of history here where technology is changing at a very rapid pace. And many students were not even using technology prior to incarceration. And so I just wanted to ask our audience real quick, what is some of the technology that we have today that we didn't have 10 years ago? And if you want to just put that in the chat, I'd love to see what some of our answers are. Oh, tablets. Yes, we have lots of tablets in our jails and prisons. AI chat, chat GPT, personal laptops, smart boards, cell phones, high-tech cell phones, sure. Tablets, pods, smart boards, VR, smartphones. Sure, I think about even things like DIY on YouTube was not really much of a thing 10 years ago, but now you can learn anything on YouTube. Thank you for your responses. And we're seeing that 92% of jobs now require digital skills, with 45% likely to require them and 47% definitely requiring those digital skills. And so we ask, what can we do? Now, with our lowest level of technology, in my opinion, lowest level of technology would be just having a laptop. With just a laptop, I want to just demonstrate some of the things that are available, some of the things that you can do to up the level of your students and prepare them for some of these results that they want to achieve. And so sometimes we have to start out small when we're selling technology to our staff or administrators. And so with just a laptop and without the presence of an open Wi-Fi network or a hotspot, a laptop is fairly secure. And you can work with your technology administrators to do things like build images to lock access to settings. And normally the cameras are an issue. So you can lock those out. And I always remind everyone that technology is a privilege that is intended to benefit the student, and it can be taken away if misused. So with just say like a $200 Chromebook laptop, students can do more with information that they're gathering from class that will help them to think critically and achieve the highest level of learning according to Bloom's taxonomy, which is creating. And at that level, students are really remembering much more of what they are learning when they're doing things like producing new and original work. We're going to see a couple of examples of students doing that. Another way that we use our just simple laptops is an employability workshop, such as the Workshop 101 is what we call it, where I allow students to work on this during class time as one of those alternative options to that direct instruction or the time that they're spending on other learning management systems that we'll see later. But it's one of those choices that students have. And so you see things like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where they create their mission statement. They're writing public speeches and practicing, such as like Toastmasters that some of us might be familiar with. We do things with Florida Ready to Work where they can earn certificate programs. We'll see a little bit of that later. They take career tests, which give them an idea of where their skills and abilities kind of will apply in the workplace. We produce nice quality resumes, and they get a chance to practice those interview skills in answering interview questions. So I want to just demonstrate how we use just simple Microsoft Office programs on our laptops without the use of the internet. This is a screencast where we have a student who has done some writing, his public speeches, so practicing those typing skills that he's going to need on the GED writing portion of his test. Here we have another student who has used Microsoft Publisher. He wants to open up his own restaurant. And so he just earned his ServeSafe manager credential, and he is producing his menu that he's going to use. Students can also do things like marketing. So they have produced me a trifold pamphlet that advertises the programs that we have here in jail. So just some really creative things that we can do. We're able to use Excel, where students are able to practice working the formulas and preparing for what they're going to encounter in their businesses. Or even a monthly budget like on a fishing boat. So this student wants to open up his own business and do some fishing boat work. And then here we're going to see how they can use PowerPoint. They use PowerPoint, such as this project was on civil rights, and students were responsible for researching and finding the important information, almost like summarizing that important information and putting it into a way that a program here that they can present it to other students. So at the end of it all the students can present their own learning and take notes from each other. We also do climate and career projects where students can, this one in particular was determining the climate and careers around the world and how the latitude and where they are on the earth determines their temperature and the weather that we see. So all kinds of creative ways that students can use technology without even any kind of internet associated with it. Our next level of it is their offline programs. Now, this offline program that I'm discussing here is called Aztec. And many of our institutions might be aware of Aztec in their companion that they offer. You can see it on top of our laptop card here. The companion is just a little box that has all of the programs right inside of it. And our laptops connect to the Wi-Fi system here no internet associated with it whatsoever. So it's very safe, very secure. And I'll give a little screencast of using the Aztec system, where you can see just some of the things that are available for students. We have different courses depending on the student levels. We're going to click into the GED course here, where the tabs will show us the practice tests that are available for students. A little bit cheaper than doing GED ready tests. So all of your practice tests. The learning plan is available as well. If your students are taking CASAS or TABE score assessments upon entering your program, the score results from those assessments will give almost a prescription to exactly what students need to work on. When students first start, maybe they need a little bit of work with computer literacy. And so I just want to show some of the things that are available as far as it goes from very simple to more complex, but things to help students to better understand that technology. And like I was saying, with the prescription that students get from those test results, they can actually click right into those lessons that they need to work on, and get direct instruction using this technology just on their own. And teacher can be there to help and answer questions and support other students at the same time. Another program I wanted to address, because in my world, I have a lot of students who are coming into the country who need some work learning English. And so Burlington English is an internet-based program. So you would need, this would be kind of like the highest level of technology. We've worked with our IT department where we've blocked access to all other websites, and we have whitelisted this specific site that is approved for student use. And so on the left-hand side here, we see the teacher portal, where we're able to see a pre-made lesson plan and print out materials for these in-class lessons when you're working with students. And here I want to show another screencast that just shows the teacher side of things, and how what I have access to on that side of things as far as building students' vocabulary using word lists. We're going to see a couple of the different career fields here. Some very popular ones are in the construction industry. Many students want to open up their own businesses and work for themselves. And they also are interested in the restaurant industry. We're going to look at some of the different courses and the courses that are available for specific careers. And so each and every single one of these is a whole entire course that you can use in class. You can print out the material, use it in class with students. And on the next slide, I'll show a little bit more of the student side of it and how the students can engage in the material on their own as well. We see everything from travel to relocation, all of the different English that students will be encountering. I just want to show some of the soft skills for specific careers. The culinary field is one where many students are interested in, and they find success in gaining employment because there's less emphasis on background. So I want to show just one of the pre-made lessons here that go through things like categorizing information, role play. Here's the word list. So it allows students to build sentences using all of these words. These are all the words that we're going to encounter in this lesson. And then we're going to see some of our pre-made activities here. This is all about safety. And students are going to be able to sort that information and categorize information by what are the hazards and what are the safety procedures. They have a role play activity where you are the supervisor and you're asking the employee what happened, so students can team up and do these kind of activities. And here are other incidences where students will read about what happened, and then they will come up with their own dialogue to practice with other students. The last thing here is an incident report that we're going to fill out. So here are some different incidences that students are going to read about. And then they will fill out the incident report based on that. And here's the incident report. All right, so that's the teacher side of Burlington English. I want to show a little bit of the student side of it, is we talked about that student-led instruction. And so here we see many different courses from the general English that covers most topics. We see our EL Civics, our English in America, and grammar instruction for students. So I'm going to go into the careers here. We're going to look at a couple of the careers that students can explore. And with this, students are just going to start to see what are the things that they're interested in. Here's architecture and construction, and here's HVAC careers, very popular here in Florida, where students can see and read about somebody who is doing that job. They can see the different duties and skills and abilities, and what kind of requirements do you need to get into this industry? With this, I'll have students to put together some of those PowerPoints so that they can share what are some of these industries that they're interested in, and how does their job history and experience and skills and abilities align with some of these new jobs and careers that they're looking to go into. I also want to show just what some of these lessons look like. So when they go into lessons, they're in that individual learning time. They have a chance to interact with all of the different vocabulary. So not only do they hear the words that are spoken, but they get practice in speaking those words. And it will rate how well they pronounce each one of those words. They're going to start using them in context, picking the correct word. And here's another chance for them to type out those words, using them in a sentence. They get practice with reading different examples of those words in context, where they're answering questions based on what they read. Here's a job listing, where they're picking out information from the job listing, listening to a situation and answering questions based on that listening activity. And finally, they can save their information to their portfolio, where they can come back later and they can see all of the different jobs and careers that they're interested in, and they can make notes based on all of those. All right, so that is our Burlington English and how I use and how I have students use Burlington English in that individual study time. Another program that we use, because we have moved into a model where we have internet access that only allows a certain approved websites that are whitelisted for us. One of those programs is Florida Ready to Work, which is a really cool program that's credentialed by the state of Florida. And each of the certificates from there is signed by Governor Ron DeSantis. And we even receive payment that covers the cost of implementing and proctoring these assessments for each of our students that earn certificates. And as you can see, it's just more things that students can put into their portfolio just to show those employers what they've done since being convicted of a felony. We have things like the academic employability skills, where students are working through work-ready math, work-ready reading, work-ready data, all things that are geared towards passing a GED test as well. Your digital skills, we see all of the areas of digital skills that are highlighted on the back of each one of the certificates, showing what these candidates have demonstrated. And we have our soft skills section here. And we always tell students it's our hard skills, those things that you put onto a resume that will get you the job, but it's those soft skills that give you those promotions and make you move up the ladder. With each of these, I encourage students to try out those assessments first, and then go back through all of the coursework. If there's any areas that they need or they want to improve their scores. And the last program that I just wanted to highlight here was Essential Ed. It's another one of those restricted internet programs. I know many participants, when I've spoken to correctional facilities, they just want some ideas of what are some of these programs that are useful and that have been vetted, and Essential Ed is one of those programs. It's a safe program. It assists students in those ABE, GED content areas, really geared towards passing those CASAS TABE scores and passing a GED exam. So thank you all for participating. That is our Tech Tuesday. I want to just take a second and look at some of our chats and see if we have anybody who has any kind of questions. If you have any new questions, feel free to put them into the chat box and I will address any of those. Looks like we have a lot of participants from our correctional facilities. So that's awesome to see. Oh, we have lots of people already using things like Aztec with their students. They can see the connection to the individualization of the assigned work. That is awesome. And I just wanted to highlight here some pictures with some of my students. We've been able to celebrate with graduation ceremonies and earning our ServSafe Manager credentials as well. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box here. Your laptops, am I correct in assuming these are Windows machines? Yes, they are Windows Chromebooks that I'm using. They don't have a whole lot on them, just our Microsoft Office products. and the ability to connect to our Aztec programs. Oh, we have a teacher that sounds like you use those primarily on a daily basis. That is awesome. Especially if you have teachers who are new to the world of teaching, it's definitely useful to have these resources using several of these programs. This presentation is being recorded, so you will be able to access this on IPDAY. I'd like to get the principles of effectiveness model. Yes, 7 Habits is an awesome program that we put all of our students through. Students love it. Great. I'm going to go to our next slide here. So we have our feedback slide. And so take a moment and complete our feedback survey. We'd love to hear from you. And as we're getting that feedback from you, I want to let you know that our next webinar with IPDAY is on November 6th. And that webinar is introducing the all-new and NRS-approved TABE 1314 and TABE Class E, Form C and D. So we look forward to seeing you all on November 6th. Thank you so much for participating with me today.